dope. Super dope indeed. It's finally happened. The news that I've been waiting for personally as a Dragon Ball podcast maker for the last 7.5 years or whatever it's been, closer to 8 now. Yeah. March of 2018, right? That'll be 8 years in a couple months. We're getting it back. We're getting Dragon Ball Super back. The anime. We're going to be talking about the three main things announced at the Genki Matsuri event yesterday in Japan. I'm going to probably do these in the order in which I was made aware of them, I think. So we'll talk about Dragon Ball Super Galactic Patrol first. We'll talk about Dragon Ball Beerus, and then we'll talk about the video game that they announced in that order. I don't imagine this is going to be a super long episode. This is genuinely just going to be most of my raw reaction thoughts, things I've been thinking about over the last 24 hours or so. I'm not going to get too much into my emotional reaction. I had a really weird emotional reaction to some of this stuff. Not all good either. Definitely some good, but not all good. But we'll probably talk about that at the end of each respective chunk. So we'll start with Galactic Patrol. Akio Aoku and Masako Nozawa did the panel yesterday wherein they showed this video of lots of stills, or they started stills of original manga panels from Akira Toriyama. And I don't know if they used like AI to kind of bring these things to life, or if they had real animators go and take these original panels and like kind of move them around a bit. But either way, it was a really cool, engaging video. But the whole time I'm watching this thing, it starts like right at the beginning of OG Dragon Ball, goes on through to Dragon Ball Super. And the whole time I'm like, oh no, are they going to just announce a remake of Dragon Ball, like OG Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Super? Like it has been rumored heavily over the last several months. And they get to the end of that hype video, which is basically what it was. Which, by the way, let's stop. Very interesting fact. They had Hans Zimmer write the fucking music for that hype video. What the fuck do you mean you had Hans Zimmer write the score for your 90-second Dragon Ball hype video? There's no clearer way for them to tell me we got money. So I don't know. Weird. I felt like it was a genuine flex. Imagine if he did the score for this new series that we got coming up. I doubt that. Imagine Hans Zimmer gets into fucking score in anime. Either way, I do think it's interesting that it was him. Big name, obviously, in the movie industry. And it's another example of them being willing to work on original music with composers who aren't from Japan. I'm thinking mostly of Zed for the opening and a lot of the music for Dragon Ball Daima, right? He's a Swedish like house music producer or whatever. That's, I thought that was an interesting choice as well. But I do think it's another example of the franchise being more aligned with its global audience as opposed to just its Japanese audience. So take that for what it's worth. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But we get to the end of this video hype trailer, and that's when it says something like the limits are passed or something like that. And everyone's like, the limits are passed. What comes after the thing that you just showed us? Because at the end of the hype video, it doesn't go to panels anymore. It goes to Dragon Ball Super, Battle of Gods, and it shows you like a cast photo of it. And then it moves on. Dragon Ball Super, a revival of F. Dragon Ball Super, this tournament. Dragon Ball Super, Trunks. Dragon Ball Super, Tournament of Power. And I'm like, ooh, these are all animated iterations. They did Dragon Ball Super Superhero even. And like I'm watching it in my brain. I'm watching it on silent as I'm watching a Mel Brooks documentary with my dad. Because I originally planned to not even watch that shit last night. And I told the boys in the Discord, I'm like, if I don't watch it, something good will happen. Because I don't care. Only good can happen if I don't care. But I got the notification that it was starting. So I was like, fuck it. Put it on. I had it on silent on the coffee table. Just kind of kept an eye to see if there was basically any trailers dropping. And this trailer started. And I start doing the math on this last part of it. And I'm like, they're just going through all the super arcs and giving us a cast photo of it. And then what would the next logical super thing be if they were to announce a new super thing? There's no way they're just like running through the Hall of Fame of Dragon Ball Super fucking arcs, right? Well, you could never do that. Most of those arcs are fucking terrible. But I'm thinking logically, what's the next thing that'll fit into this animation, right? And it dawns on me. I'm like, well, they haven't done Moro yet. And then the visual drops of Goku and Vegeta in their respective outfits, but it has the Galactic Patrol insignia on it. And then it says Dragon Ball Super, Galactic Patrol. I stopped. I gasped, not gasped, but my dad then asked me, he's like, what the fuck are you looking at your phone like that for? Is something happening? Like, I don't know. And then I put on the volume into my phone, and it comes back to the commentators, Masuko Nozawa, Akio Yoku, all talking about it. And he's like, what the fuck are those Japanese people talking about? What's going on with you? I'm like, Dragon Ball, man. I think it's back. I'm not really sure. There was no time frame given on Galactic Patrol. So I didn't really know what that meant, but all I know is that it's in production. And that's good to know, but like I'm somebody personally who appreciates a time frame. Sure, yeah, great to know that it's in production, but on the other hand, especially as somebody who tries to make Dragon Ball content to fucking push out to the boys who've been hanging out for better half of a fucking how long has this show been around? 2018, 2017? I don't know how I've been doing this shit for so fucking long. I don't know if I'm just like really stupid or really fucking dedicated. Dedicated is not the right word because I fall off all the time. So maybe it's just stupid. Either way, I think that I give it no time frame is a little bit frustrating for me. I'm like, oh, maybe it'll be later this year. They're saying it's in production. Maybe it'll be later this year. I'm just excited that we're going to get the Moro arc animated finally. But I do think it's really interesting that they gave it the subtitle, The Galactic Patrol. So I don't know. It kind of makes me wonder about what the contents of that series or season is probably the more appropriate way to say it. Not confirmed that Dragon Ball is coming back as a seasonal anime, but I think a lot of the things that we learned yesterday indicates that it very well could be. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But the subtitle of Galactic Patrol itself, instead of like Moro or anything, although I guess Galactic Patrol could encompass both, everything that happens before Moro, leading up to him, and the entire Moro arc. They could do that very reasonably. But yeah, I was just very frustrated there wasn't a time frame given. So I was like, all right, whatever, still good news. At least we know we're getting it back now for sure. There's no more speculation. At least we're dodging a fucking Dragon Ball Super Kai, for lack of a better term. We're not getting a remaster or remake of Dragon Ball Super, which thank God. I'm not trying to fucking redo Battle of Gods for like a fourth fucking time. You get the movie, you got the anime, you got the manga. Why do I need a fourth time? And that brings me to the next announcement I was made aware of late last night, early this morning. Dragon Ball Super Beerus has been confirmed for a release in late 2026, presumably October. And again, the subtitle of the series, Dragon Ball Super Beerus. I'm like, oh no, they're giving Beerus a little spin-off series? No, they're not. They're giving Beerus a fourth fucking shot in a visual medium, animated medium for the third time at Battle of Gods. I personally think Battle of Gods is probably a top 5 Dragon Ball movie. Yeah, I would probably say the top 5 Dragon Ball movie, not letting nostalgia influence me all that much. Battle of Gods is a perfect fucking movie. I personally felt when Super started, there was no need to recreate Battle of Gods, but I understood it from a production perspective to give them some more leeway to kind of get ahead on some other stuff. It padded out at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super series, and it made sense from a production perspective because they announced that shit, and then it started airing like 6 weeks later. The stuff that we're talking about now for Dragon Ball Super Beerus is not going to be out for at least 8 months. Probably 9 months if it is October, right? Either way, who cares? Semantics. I don't know if we need a fourth fucking try at this thing. Although I will say the teaser itself looks amazing. It looks so beautiful. You line it up against stills from the Dragon Ball Super anime, it looks infinitely fucking better. And if you're in the Discord, maybe you saw that. Chris Brecky, a longtime listener of the show, he put up a bunch of examples of side by sides from the Beerus trailer versus what the original shots looked like from the anime perspective. Right, beautiful quality, outstanding. They're really putting their balls on the fucking table and saying like, "Hey, remember us? We're Dragon Ball." which, nobody forgot. And there are probably other ways to fucking put your balls on the table in an even more overt way and not give us this shit for a fourth fucking time. I feel like I could fucking do the script from Battle of Gods sometimes. It's not because I've watched the movie fucking 8 million times. It's because I've seen the story played out over several different mediums, several different times. And I'm fucking tired of it personally. But I'll deal with it. And I'll tell you why I'll deal with it. I will deal with it because I believe, given the subtitles of these two different series that were announced, right? Dragon Ball Super Galactic Patrol, Dragon Ball Super Beerus. Those are two ends of the Dragon Ball Super story. Not ends, because we obviously know things go beyond Moro and the Galactic Patrol, but those are like two bookends to what the anime was. The original 131, 130, 131 of Super. So it makes sense to say, hey, we're continuing the thing first. We're bringing the anime back. We're doing the next thing that we haven't animated yet. Get excited. It makes sense to do that. But then to kind of come back to earth immediately with the next announcement and be like, yeah, we didn't give you a time frame on the other thing because actually we're doing this remake thing that I don't think many people wanted it. Dragon Ball Super is not the worst Dragon Ball series. Obviously, that is Dragon Ball GT by a fucking country mile. I don't care what anybody says. You're wrong if you feel otherwise. Objectively fucking wrong. If you say things like that, it proves to be you've never watched Dragon Ball GT in its entirety. Either way, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is I don't need to see Battle of Gods again, but I am willing to see some other super stuff be redone in a more manga-accurate form. So related to like the stories that Toriyama and Toyotaro have been making in the comics together. I can't wait to see the Goku Black Future Trunks Zamasu arc redone in this fashion, assuming they do it. I assume this is the soft way to kind of launch like the announcement of we're redoing Battle of Gods, but we're just calling it Beerus, and it's only going to be 6 episodes, and it's going to be amazing. Fine, I'll sit through that. I'll even sit through the fucking Fukatsu no F Resurrection F arc again. I never get tired of seeing Vegeta and Goku beat the shit out of Frieza. If I'm watching it in high quality anime production style, cool. I'm very much into that as well. But it's pretty much everything after that that I'm excited about when it comes to them, I guess, remastering Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Super Kai, whatever you want to call it, Dragon Ball Super 2. I don't know. Kind of a mixed fucking reaction for me there. Like, I don't want to sit through it again, but I'm kind of okay with sitting through it if I'm going to get an updated Trunks arc, tournament arc between 7 and 6. Some of that shit, if you look at it, if you watch those clips, if you watch those episodes, some of it's fucking terrible. Really cool moments, but animation wise, production was pretty low quality. So it'd be cool to get that treatment on some of that stuff. I'm just, oh my God, can we fucking skip these two movies, please, and just go right into 6 versus 7? Oh shit, 6, 7. That's that thing. Either way, knowing that Beerus is going to happen at the end of 26, I think maybe that gives us hope that Galactic Patrol will probably be, hopefully, at the end of 27. And I guess my main question is like, if they're only saying Beerus is 6 episodes, which I believe the original Beerus arc in the anime, I think is like 13 or 14 episodes, somewhere in there. It's not super long, but it's way fucking longer than it had to be. That's for sure. A cut down, dressed up version of that. If it's only 6 episodes, okay, I can get through it. Am I going to be hyped about it? Probably not. But if they are going to give that treatment to the rest of the arcs in Super, that's a fucking win. Because there are some cool ideas in Super that I think could afford the facelift and the more focused storytelling of how the manga came out. And there are minor differences here and there. There's like a Super Saiyan Goku Black, basically, is one of the main differences in the Trunks arc. I think they go back to the future one less time in the manga. There's a few minor differences. And then we know about all the differences in the Tournament of Power. Kefla versus Gohan instead of Kefla versus Goku. Can't wait to see that animated. Jiren and Master Roshi, as controversial a moment as that was when it came out in the manga. Show me that shit all dressed up. I'll eat that shit up. I'm kind of curious, like, do the rest of the arcs also get a 6-episode treatment? Or are they kind of just playing it by ear, you know? Because I can see them doing Battle of Gods and Resurrection F in 6 episodes easy. The 6 and 7 tournament, yeah, same thing. Trunks, 6 episodes, I feel like that'd be tough. Tournament of Power, if you include the recruitment piece of it, which I hope they do, because some of the coolest moments in Dragon Ball Super, in my opinion, is the recruitment aspect, and a lot of these old characters kind of reconnecting for the first time. I know they're hitting the nostalgia button like on overdrive when that shit happens, but it's stuff I genuinely enjoy. And if we got a higher quality version of it, that would be fun. But whatever, it's going to be more manga accurate, is I think everybody's understanding on this right now, and I'm excited. It'll be a little bit of a trudge at the beginning, but who knows, dude? By this time next year, we might be watching fucking Fukatsu no F redone, or we might be getting the 6-7 tournament redone. I just I don't know. I'm tepidly excited. It would be a real kick in the balls if they decide to just do Beerus. They're like, yeah, we'll see you in a year for the Galactic Patrol, nerds. Like, I really do hope that this is the comeback to a regularly airing anime. I don't want it to come. I've said this for years now, for years and fucking years, and I said this when we were still going through production hell, before this podcast even started. It's a thing I've believed for a long time since Super came back. I don't understand why it needs to be every single week, 50-ish weeks a year. It doesn't need to be. You could make this a 22, 24 seasonal anime, and I think the quality of production would benefit from it. And also, I feel like my time and my schedule would benefit from it. Because Dragon Ball is one of the only things I really, new Dragon Ball, quote unquote, is one of the only real things I care about covering on this podcast on a regular basis, aside from a few things here and there, like My Hero Academia or a random movie I saw or whatever. So I'm a little excited to get back to regular Dragon Ball coverage, for sure. I just hope they don't fucking blue ball me, just give me the Beerus thing for the 4th fucking time and say, oh, you wanted the rest of Super like that? Nah, we're just going to skip to Galactic Patrol for next year. So see you next year. Like, if you're going to do it and you're going to make me sit through the first couple arcs again, fucking do it. Do it right. Do it for the whole thing. Dragon Ball Super Kai, again, for lack of a better phrase or a better term here. So that's that. The last thing I need to mention, they're calling it Dragon Ball Project or Dragon Ball Age 1000, I believe. And it's a new video game being announced. Has a new character. I believe his character's name is Kino. I think I saw. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. I could be misremembering, but I do remember seeing the spelling Kino. Kino, like the game that you gamble shit on, or the guy who hung out with the Ninja Turtles in Secret of the Use, Ernie Reyes Jr. He could fucking fly and sidekick your head off, so don't talk too much shit about Ernie, Kino or no Kino. This is the thing that I'm kind of least excited about, because I don't know. First of all, after Sparking Zero did what it did to me, and by did what it did, I mean, I can't believe that game tricked me into spending like $700 fucking dollars on a PlayStation 5 that I didn't even really want all that bad. Buying the game, buy a couple of controllers. That game duped me so fucking hard. I could not give any less of a shit about Sparking Zero. I think I've played it for about 15 hours in its entirety, and it's been out for, I would guess, about 16 months now. Whatever. I don't care. I'm very turned off by Dragon Ball video games in recent years. That being said, what this could be a couple things. I think some people are really hoping that this ends up being a Xenoverse 3, which it could be, I guess, but it's wild to me that they still regularly release updates for Xenoverse 2. That's fucking nuts. Like in the year 2025, I think in like August or September, they put out, or maybe no, maybe it was for Dragon Ball Daima. Was that it? How long ago was that? Like a year ago? Oh my God, time means nothing to anybody. Okay. Anyway, who cares? My point is, I haven't been big on Dragon Ball video games in several years. If this is a Xenoverse 3, cool. I will definitely check it out. But I think what more people are thinking is that this could be a relaunch of Dragon Ball Online, which was a kind of popular MMO in the late 2000s that I think played primarily in Japan and Korea. I certainly never played it. I've seen a lot of video footage from it. It seems like a really interesting idea, but basically the MMO is set, I think it's a few hundred years in the future, and you have some kind of choice as to what race you're going to be, and whatever you play out your character, say in Namekian, you could be a Majin and a human. Maybe I'm missing one or two other things, but interesting idea. And I kind of wish that I was able to access it back then because I probably would have played the shit out of that. Now, if we do get an opportunity to do that, that could be a lot of fun. But what I think is not weird, actually, I think it's kind of expected, like corporate bullshit expected. They start the trailer with Akira Toriyama presents. I'm like, does he? He presents, you say, from the fucking grave. Man's been dead for a few years now. I think we're coming up on 3 years in March. What the fuck do you mean he presents? Well, this game has been in production for 6 or 7 years, which is literally what they said. I don't know why 6-7 jokes keep happening so much. Now that I'm aware of the 6-7 meme, I'm like constantly aware of how frequently I say the word, the numbers in sequential order, obviously, because I know how to count 6-7. And I say that shit a lot. I think a lot of people say that shit a lot. And now that it's a meme, we're like, every time we accidentally say it in a normal conversation. And I think that's the definition of brain rot. Anyway, this corporate bullshit of like, yeah, Toriyama's directly involved. He had a heavy hand in the production of this game. Oh, he had a heavy hand in the production of this game that isn't going to be out for another fucking year. No, but he drew the original character design. Design or designs? They're saying that this Kino character is original Akira Toriyama character design. And it's, a guy in green and red and a Capsule Corp logo, and he has white hair, and it looks like he doesn't look like he does go Super Saiyan at the end of the trailer. And it's like, yeah, he designed this character. I'm sure with very specific and intentional purposes, right? I just think that somewhere they have like a bunch of fucking sketchbooks, and with those sketchbooks, it's in some kind of legal way, legal property. Those sketchbooks that Akira Toriyama had are now the legal property of whatever company makes that. Bandai Namco, Shueisha, the Toriyama estate in general could just be handing this shit out for a couple bucks at a time. I'm not really sure, but all a long way to say what I'm fearful of is them just continuing to use Akira Toriyama's name and everything Dragon Ball related for forever. And just saying like, oh no, we found some old notes. Did you? Or did you just find like a fucking sketch he was fucking around with some general dude in a Capsule Corp outfit, and you decided that that was enough to base some kind of antagonist, excuse me. I presume this guy's a protagonist. I don't know. It's cool, I guess it has a connection to Toriyama, but also at a certain point, like we're a few years out now. The legal battle has seemingly come to a conclusion. So the anime can continue. Cool. I am curious to know when the fuck the manga is going to come back. But at a certain point, it's like, based on the story by Akira Toriyama, written by Toyotaro, written by Akio Aoku. I don't know who the fuck this person, I don't know who that will be, who makes the ultimate creative decisions, but seems an awful lot like Aoku, if I'm being real. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not super hyped on the video game, but I'm also not hyped that they're just continuing to just drag his name out solely for the sake of marketing. You can put based on the story by Akira Toriyama, and that's it. But it's like, no, Akira Toriyama presents, and he made this guy, and he made it for this game, and he's been working on this game from beyond the grave. Even if this game has been in like fucking 5, 6, 7 years of production, I feel like at a certain point, you should be like, yeah, we're just like, be transparent about what you're doing. I don't think any of us want to stop Dragon Ball. We could eat that shit till we die. Yeah, I know I certainly can. Give me that fucking Dragon Ball slop, even if it is of a lesser quality. I'm just happy to get new stories with characters I love. That's usually always how I'll feel about it. That said, just like be transparent. Like you guys are continuing on the story, you're continuing on the franchise. Why do you got to say, oh no, actually he did this and fucking probably lie to me all the goddamn time? Knock it the fuck off. So I don't know. I guess that's really all I have to say on the video game part of it. I'm curious to find out more about it. They're going to be doing another Dragon Ball Battle Hour. It's basically just a video game convention. I think they've done it in Vegas the last few years, or maybe they did it in LA last year. That was the one where Hironobu Kageyama showed up and just did like a fucking 5-song set of like all Dragon Ball bangers. Whew. God, I remember watching that shit and just having all the goosebumps. Honestly, even thinking about it right now, I'm getting those goosebumps again. That was fucking sick. But they're saying that they're going to have more announcements about this game and hopefully the format and what it's going to look to do. I really am pulling for that MMO Dragon Ball game because Dragon Ball rules most of the time. So yeah, I guess that's it. I just wanted to get some initial thoughts out. I wanted to keep this one kind of short. I'm excited about Galactic Patrol. I'm not psyched we have to wait for it. I'm not psyched about Beerus, although if you're going to give me Beerus, make sure you give me all of this shit. Please redo the entire series in this fashion if you're going to do it. And honestly, that's kind of nice for me in a way because I had a little bit of a meltdown in the Discord last night about this stuff and how much things have changed for me personally since Dragon Ball Super went off the air. So, in case this is your first time checking out this podcast, or maybe you just need a refresher, you haven't checked the stuff out in a minute. I started this podcast, Dragon Ball Super Dope, on episode 102. I believe it's the episode where they go to recruit Roshi. I could be wrong. I should know that. Should I? Who cares? We started at episode 102. So knowing that the Tournament of Power arc was coming up, it coincided with me finally biting the bullet and getting some podcast equipment. I've worked in, audio and music stuff since I was a kid. So podcasting was kind of a logical next step. And it was something I was interested in as a format, as a medium. And I loved listening to podcasts. And me and my stupid fucking friends were sitting around watching Dragon Ball every week, talking about it anyway. So I figured that would be a nice thing to experiment around on, right? That'd be a good thing to learn podcasting on, how to make them, how to distribute them and stuff. Flash forward to now, and I've made several hundred episodes of podcasts, not only just Dragon Ball, but Advice Pod, Super Dope Plus Ultra. And then I've helped several different businesses launch and in some cases maintain and edit their podcasts for several hundred episodes. So I've done a lot in the last few years of podcasting, and I genuinely do all it all to starting Dragon Ball Super Dope, what I did. But when I started it, I was like, this Tournament of Power, man, we're going to meet like 100 new characters. We're going to have infinite universes and places to go. They're setting this up so Dragon Ball Super can run basically forever if they want and give us all these crazy new stories. And they're finally getting the production right. And the Tournament of Power looks good. And, for the first fucking time, Dragon Ball Super seemed like a good series or a fun series. I think the thing that I often overlook is that it was a new thing week to week that none of us saw before with no no manga preceding it. So that brought its own level of excitement to it. And I'm not really sure that we're ever going to reach that peak again. Not to be the bearer of bad news. I saw all the people reacting to Galactic Patrol happening, and they're like, "We're going to break the internet again." Like, yeah, it might make some servers go down, but nothing's ever going to match that genuine excitement of the final few episodes of the Tournament of Power where you genuinely had no idea how it was going to play out, other than presumably the good guys win. We're not going to have that anymore with, Dragon Ball Super being redone. Although, if you haven't read the manga, maybe some of the changes in the manga will surprise you. Either way, when it comes to redoing the show, I guess I'm okay with it, but it gives me the opportunity to cover Dragon Ball Super from the beginning, because there have been several times in this long gap since the anime went off where other people and even myself, I'm just like, maybe I should just go back to episode 1 of Dragon Ball Super. And then a part of me was like, do I really want to do that? Does anybody want to listen to that? No fucking way, dude. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time. Who cares? We all saw it. We all know what we saw. But now it's like a remastered, redone, however you want to phrase it, series. It does give me an opportunity to go back and do Dragon Ball Super in its entirety. I'm just trying to look at the positives, I guess, for myself, selfish as that might be. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm excited about some things. I'm not excited about all the things. I think it was kind of a kick in the balls for them to do that stream, start with Galactic Patrol, and then a few hours later, it was like, oh, and this Beerus thing's happening too. Like, fuck, you got me excited first about the new thing, and then you told me that the old thing was going to be redone again, and I'm going to have to wait for the new thing for at least like a fucking, hopefully not, I don't know how long it could be. It could be the end of 27. And in that case, that's closer to 2 years than it is a year. I want to see the Galactic Patrol arc. I want to see Moro. I want to see Granola and Gas and shit. I want to see Black Frieza show up and just fucking pwn motherfuckers. Is this going to be weekly? Is this going to be seasonal? If it is going to be weekly, Do you run the 6 episodes of Beerus and then you go into the next episodes of Frieza? Like, how are we gonna fucking do this? I need a little bit more clarity. I don't know if that's just me not being able to deal with circumstances that are beyond my control, but trying to be excited. I am excited about certain aspects of it, but certainly not all. How do you feel? Are you excited? I think I could probably have you leave it in the comments, either on YouTube, Spotify. I think I gotta like make a poll question so you can do that. So I'll try to do that once this goes up on Spotify. And Apple Podcasts, I mean, if you want to leave a review or whatever, always helpful, helps other people find us. And yeah, I guess we're gearing up for more Dragon Ball Super. Anyway, that's going to do it for Super Dope. There are people shoveling outside because we are in the midst of a big snowstorm. So if you heard any scrapes, my bad. Appreciate you listening, and make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. If this is your first time checking us out, by us I mean me. I appreciate you taking the time. There are about 90 million other jerk offs doing this Dragon Ball shit, but I've been doing it for way too long, and I've never experienced any real modicum of success outside of some very hardcore, diehard listeners, fans, friends that I appreciate checking out the show on a regular basis over the last almost fucking decade. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? I don't know. You know what it is? I also don't care. Like, I don't want to be in, I don't really like interacting with Dragon Ball fans outside of the people that I know. It's a thing I go back and forth on. Why do you make a podcast if you don't want people to listen to it? Because I like talking out loud, and I like when my friends ask me about my opinions, and this is an effective way to communicate it to them. But everyone else can suck my dick. I don't really fucking care. Go suck it. Who am I fucking arguing with? Some fucking 12-year-old on the internet doesn't know how to wipe his fucking ass? Usually, yeah. Or it could be like a 35-year-old incel who also don't know how to wipe his ass. So that'll do it. Super dope. Dragon Ball Super is coming back. And now this time it's for real. Confirmed. 100. Goodbye.